Fantastic. It looks like we've got a bunch of people joining us, but I don't want to be too long and waiting for folks, so I want to be mindful of your guys' time. So we'll just go ahead and get started, and we've got this recorded for anybody who might not be able to make it here. I'm going to go ahead and dive in. My name is Garrett Durkin. I'm from FBC. We are your guys' insurance brokers, and so what that means for you guys is that if throughout the year you guys ever have any questions at all, or there's anything we can do to help, whether it be about a claim issue, a billing issue, how does your coverage work questions, is your doctor in the network, anything you might need, feel free to give us a call. You can reach out to us by find us on the website. You can ask Human Resources. They can get you our contact information, but also in your Employee Navigator portal and all your enrollment material, you'll have our contact information. So we want to be sure that you guys know we're not just here during open enrollment to answer questions. We are here to help you guys out all throughout the year should you ever have any issues with your employee benefit plan. Okay? All right. So we'll dive in here. Let me get going. All right, so right now is your guys' open enrollment period, and what we're doing here is this is the time of year that you guys are going to get to make any changes to how you're enrolled in the benefit plan, whether it be the medical, dental, or vision. And we're going to ask that you make these changes and you go into Employee Navigator and make your elections no later than December 9th. So that's a week from tomorrow. That gives you 8 days, including today, to go in, make your elections for you and your family on how you want to enroll, and make any changes to how you're enrolled. Now you will notice that the medical renewal or the medical plan year is from January 1st to December 31st, and the dental and vision plan year is actually from December 1st, so today, till next December. And we're just lining these up so that next year everything will be on the same plan year, but rather than have to push you guys through 2 different open enrollment time frames, we're going to go ahead and just do one big open enrollment, and if you're making changes to the dental, that'll all retroactively go back to December 1st. So just keep that in mind. If you have any troubles with that, questions on that, you can give my office a call. We can help you through it. It shouldn't be too terribly difficult. And for most of you who are already on the dental and vision plan, you probably won't make much of a change since not anything's really changing for you, and it won't be an impactful thing for you. Okay, but we do want to mention that. So this is the time of year that you guys get to update how you're enrolled, make changes, do whatever you want without having to have a qualifying event. Because outside of this time frame, you guys have to have what's called a life status change or a qualifying event in order to make a change to your coverage. And that's one of these 7 things. That's you had a baby, adopted, became a legal guardian. Maybe you got married or divorced, or God forbid you had a death of a spouse or dependent. Maybe you went from full-time to part-time or vice versa. You could have a change in your spouse's employment. So maybe your spouse worked somewhere where they had insurance and they lost their coverage or left that job. They'd be able to come on your plan mid-year. Okay, same thing with your kids, a change in your dependents eligibility where maybe they are on your spouse's plan or they're on an individual policy, and for whatever reason throughout the year they lose that coverage. That enables them to come on your plan mid-year. The last thing is an unpaid leave of absence of more than 31 days for you or your spouse. So these are all things that if this happens to you mid-year, you have the option to change how you're enrolled and come on the plan. Now you only have 31 days to let Human Resources know that you do want to make that change, and on the 32nd day and beyond, our hands are tied. So that's, and that's not our rule or Cigna or MetLife's rule. That's federal law. That's the Affordable Care Act. So we got to make sure that if you're trying to make a change mid-year, you do let us know in a timely fashion, but you will have that opportunity if one of these 7 things happens to you. Now, outside of that, though, whatever you decide for January 1st, you're going to be stuck with that until next January. Okay, so that's why it's important that we go over this stuff today, and during this open enrollment, you get all your questions answered and you make the right decision for you and your family moving forward. Okay, any questions on that so far? No? Okay, great.
Garrett?
Yep.
Hey, Dan Barber, a couple questions
I've
got is, assuming I want no changes to my plan, do I have to go back and make selections?
Yes, so if you don't, because we do want everybody to go into the Employee Navigator portal and choose a plan that you're enrolled on, since the plans are changing. And so, yes, even if you're making no changes, you will have to make a selection.
And that's what we've told people, but I just thought, since everyone in the group has not asked, that I would just put that out there.
Yeah, great point, Dan. So guys, everyone, regardless of if you're making a change or not, is going to have to log into the Employee Navigator portal and make a selection on how you want to enroll. Because what you'll notice is there are some changes to how we're structuring the medical plans, so we want to make sure you're plugged into the correct plan. Okay, great point, Dan. All right, any other questions before we dive in? No? Okay, great. All right, guys, so we are renewing with Cigna. The good news this year is the carriers you are with today are the carriers we are moving forward with. So we're going to renew our medical plans with Cigna. We're going to continue on having the Healthiest You telemedicine feature, and we're also going to keep all our other coverages with MetLife. And so what that means for you is if your doctors are in the network, you'll have the same doctors and network options provided you don't switch from the local or from the open access to the local plus. You'll have those same options, right? And same thing with your dentist. All the same networks will continue on with MetLife. There won't be any changes there. But we are adjusting how we structure our plans. So we are doing a new thing called deductible reimbursement, and it's going to work on both the local plus and the open access plan. We'll show you how this works. But we are purchasing a higher deductible, and then the company is going to help you out should you need to meet past a $2,000 mark or a $3,000 mark, depending on which plan you're on. Okay? And so, guys, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to mute the line, and then as I ask questions, I'll open it back up, and then that way we won't have any disruption on the line there. Okay. All right. So the very first plan that we're offering, and the plan is going to work essentially the same way with copays, and the main difference is the network. And I'll go over this, but the plan we are purchasing from Cigna is a $5,000 80% plan. And the way it works is if you go into a primary care physician, you pay a $30 copay. If you go into a specialist, you pay a $60 copay. And these are, if you recall, guys, copays are just you pay your $30, you pay your $60, and you are on your way. You don't pay anything beyond that. Cigna pays the rest. All right. On both of these plan options, preventative care is going to be covered at 100% no cost to you. Okay, that's your annual physical, your annual OBGYN exams. Guys, if you need to get a colonoscopy or a mammogram and it's that time of your life for those things, those are all covered at 100%. Your kids' wellness stuff, you won't pay a copay nor a deductible. You won't pay anything should you be using preventative care. Now, preventative care is the standard. I'm not going to the doctor because I'm sick. I'm just going because the doctor says it's a good thing to do once a year to get a physical, or it's a good thing to make sure that I get into my OBGYN once a year. So that is what is considered preventative. Diagnostic is where you'll pay your copays, and that is all the stuff where you go to the doctor because you're sick or you have an ailment that you're trying to get solved. Okay? So we'll go ahead and move on from that, but I just want to make sure that we understand the preventative care feature. Now, you have an urgent care copay of $65 on this plan, an emergency room copay of $250. So again, you go into the urgent care, you pay $65. You go into the emergency room, you pay a flat $250, and you're on your way. Now, you'll notice the urgent care is a lot less expensive. So if it's not a true emergency, but you still need to see somebody in person, try to find yourself in urgent care. You're going to get seen a lot faster. You're going to get the same care, and you're going to pay a whole lot less than if you go to the emergency room. Emergency room's still there for you if you need it, but urgent care is always a better choice if you can make that work out. Okay, now I know I mentioned that we are buying a $5,000 deductible plan. Remember, you guys are not going to be responsible for the entire $5,000, and I'll explain how that works. But the plan we're purchasing is a $5,000 deductible plan per individual and then $10,000 per family. And let me clarify that. That only means that you can't have more than 2 deductibles in a given family. It does not mean that you'd have to meet a $10,000 deductible just because you're enrolled as a family. It just means that no more than 2 of you in your family can pay their $5,000 deductible. And if you have 2 people do that, and you have a third who meets a portion of the deductible, you won't pay anything for that. Okay? So we're buying this $5,000 deductible, and the only things that ever trigger this deductible are if you go into the hospital, you have outpatient surgery, or you have major diagnostic testing like MRIs, PET scans, CAT scans, things like that. Those are the things that will trigger your deductible. Once you meet the first $5,000 of that deductible, Cigna will come in and cover you at 80%. So your cost will only be 20% of anything after $5,000. And it can only add up to another $1,550. So once you've met this $6,050 out-of-pocket maximum, you are covered at 100%. Now again, let's remember this. A, we're buying a $5,000 deductible plan. B, the most you'd ever be billed is $6,550 total for the entire plan year. But then most importantly, C, you guys as employees will not be responsible for this full deductible, and First Arizona Title Agency is going to reimburse you for some of it. So I'll go over that in a second, but first let me touch on your prescription drug coverage. So your prescription drug coverage, guys, is a $15 copay for generics, $40 for preferred brand names, and $70 for non-preferred brand names. Okay? Now I always point this out. If you're taking generics, you're likely better off not using your insurance. Okay, because Walmart figured out 17 years ago that if they give away their generics for $4, then people are going to come into Walmart and buy shoes and clothes and food and guns and all the other things people buy at Walmart, and it worked. So now every big box pharmacy does this deal where if you go in and you hand them your Cigna card, they're going to charge you $15. But if you ask them what the drug costs without your insurance, it's likely more like $4. Now that's only the case for generics. Brand name drugs, typically the Cigna insurance will help you out on, but for generic drugs, that's definitely the case. And the last thing I'll touch on your prescription drugs is we are implementing a new policy with the Cigna insurance that they're going to encourage you to use the less expensive versions of your drugs. And so if there's a less expensive version of your drug out there, the Cigna is going to ask that you try to use that first before you can go ahead and get the more expensive version of your drug. And guys, there's a lot of folks who are using drugs that could easily be substituted for a generic. And so we want to try to encourage that process and make sure that we're being as efficient as we can with our healthcare costs, because the more that we don't pay attention to that, the more our costs go up in the future. And that's what we're trying to avoid for everyone, not just for the company, but also for employees themselves. So with that, guys, I'm going to unmute it and see if there's any questions here. So if I can't unmute it all. All right, does anybody have any questions here? It's looking like I'm not getting anything here. So I'll go ahead and continue on, but as questions arise, please feel free to ask, and feel free to stop me as we go on, okay? All right. So remember, I told you guys that the plan we're purchasing, the co-pays all work the same. We're buying a $5,000 deductible plan, and we're reimbursing some of that deductible. Now, we're going to continue to offer 2 different networks. So just like you have today, you guys have the option of the Local Plus network and the Open Access network. Now, the Local Plus network is going to remain our base plan. That's where you'll pay the least out of your paycheck, and you'll get the richest benefits if you utilize the in-network benefits. But you will have the option to buy up to that Open Access network should you choose to do so. Okay, and so the way that this deductible reimbursement plan is going to work differently on whether you're on the Local Plus network or the Open Access network. So this first slide we're looking at here, this is for the Local Plus network. The way it's going to work is that employees are responsible for the first $2,000 of the deductible, just like you would be today. And then of the last $3,000, the company is going to reimburse you 80% of that. Okay, so you would pay another $600 as an employee, and the company would write you a check for $2,400 if you max that out. This is for the Local Plus network. Okay, for the Open Access network, if you meet your deductible, then you're responsible as the employee for the first $3,000 of the deductible, and the last $2,000, First Arizona Title will reimburse you at 80% for, so you could get a check for up to $1,600, and you would pay another $400 towards that deductible. Okay, now guys, why are we doing this? The reason we're doing this is because what happens in traditional insurance is if we just go to Cigna and buy a $2,000 deductible plan and a $3,000 deductible plan, and nobody hits those deductibles, we're going to pay significantly more in our premiums for our health insurance. We started off with about a 19% rate increase this year. So we had to negotiate with Cigna and figure out what can we do to bring this cost down so A, we don't have to raise the cost on employees, and we can B, have similar benefits to what we have today. And so what we're doing is we are giving you guys the benefit of purchasing a $5,000 deductible. So that's not just a benefit for the company, it's also a benefit for your cost and specifically your dependent costs, right? But you guys will effectively have, whether you're on the Local Plus or the Open Access, a $2,000 or $3,000 deductible depending on the plan you choose. Okay? How does this work? When and if on the Local Plus plan you exceed $2,000, or on the Open Access plan you exceed $3,000, then you'll need to file this one-page claim form, which you can find on your Employee Navigator portal. Human Resources will have it. My office can get it to you. But it's this one-page claim form. You'll send my office this form along with your most recent explanation of benefits, right? This thing that comes in the mail, we've all probably seen these. They come in the mail and say, this is not a bill, right? And they break down your services. And then we'll go ahead and process your reimbursement, and we'll let First Arizona Title know how much they need to write you a check for. Now, I want to be clear, guys. This is for anything exceeding $3,000, so you can meet the $5,000 and then $2,000 on the Local Plus. So you can meet the whole $5,000 and get reimbursed the full amount, or you can maybe meet $1,000 over $2,000 on Local Plus or $1,000 on $3,000, and you'll get $800. So we want it to work exactly how a regular insurance policy would work for you. We just are being a little bit more creative and smart about how we're utilizing our healthcare dollars. Okay? Are there any questions on how the deductible reimbursement program works? Okay, we'll keep moving. If you guys have questions again throughout the year, please do not hesitate to reach out to my office. We want to get you reimbursed. We want to help you guys with this. But I want to make sure that you guys have all your questions answered. So the last thing before we move on from the medical insurance and move on to the Healthiest You piece, I want to remind you guys to have two plan options. Local Plus is where you're going to pay the least out of your paycheck and get the deepest discounts if you utilize that in-network provider system. That system is the Banner providers and the Honor Health providers. Those are the two largest provider systems in the Valley, and they have about 4,000 doctors to choose from. So if you choose that, you won't be able to go to Dignity, Abrazo, or Phoenix Children's Hospital, but you still have all the Banner's doctors and hospitals and all the Honor Health doctors and hospital, which was John C. Lincoln and Scottsdale Healthcare from the merger. So it's about 4,000 providers. It's a really good network to be in, and most of you will probably find that you're already seeing doctors in that network. So just keep that in mind when you're going through your elections and you're looking at the cost between the two plans. You're going to get a much better deal if you drive to that Local Plus plan. Okay? All right. Okay. You guys all have this now. This isn't changing, but we want to remind you that it's there because it's probably the coolest thing to hit healthcare in the last 5 years. But First Arizona Title Agency has made available to all employees who are on the health plan at no cost the telemedicine service through Healthiest You. Now, Healthiest You, if you haven't used it before, is the core product. It has a lot of different features to it, but the core product is 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, access to a live physician via web chat, Skype, or on the phone, where you can pick up the phone. Within 15 minutes, you'll get a call back from the physician that you need to see. They'll triage you and get you to the right physician. They'll be able to diagnose 50 to 70% of the most common illnesses and reasons that we go to the doctor, and also prescribe you whatever applicable prescriptions to whatever pharmacy you'd like. When you use this service, it does not cost you anything for the phone call. Okay? The only thing you would ever pay for on the service is if you do get prescribed a prescription, you'd have to go to the pharmacy and you'd pay for the prescription under your Cigna plan. But the actual consult doesn't cost you anything. So just let me give you an example of how this works out in the real world. So this is not a replacement for your primary care physician, but I personally have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. And it was about 7 months ago when my 3-year-old came to me and my wife at 7 in the morning on a Saturday when we had all sorts of things planned, and he had pink eye. I didn't need a doctor to tell me it was pink eye. It's gross, and nobody likes that, but you don't need a doctor to tell you. You just need the drops, right? And you can't go to Walgreens and just purchase the drops. You need a prescription for them. So my wife got on the phone at 8 o'clock. She called the telemedicine folks. Within 30 minutes, she had spoken to a doctor, diagnosed the pink eye, had the drops prescribed over to Walgreens, been to Walgreens, back to our house. By 8:30, she had the drops in my son's eyes, and we were on with our Saturday. It was fantastic. It completely removed the need for us to rearrange our day, find an urgent care, schedule on the following Monday a visit to the primary care where my wife would have had to go sit in the waiting room, wait for the doctor, talk to the doctor for only 5 minutes, get her script, go to Walgreens, wait 30 minutes for it to be filled, and then finally drive home. It is a much more efficient and effective use of your time and your money when you're trying to get those basic things done for healthcare. So Healthiest You, if you haven't used it, try it out. It's fantastic. If you have used it, you probably loved it. So please do remember that you guys have this. The company pays for this for you. You don't. If you're enrolled in the medical plan, you have this. You don't have to pay for anything, any additional cost to get this, and it covers you and your whole family. So even if you're just enrolled in the medical plan, just yourself, any of your dependents can utilize this service. Okay, so I just want to encourage you guys, please use this. It is the coolest thing in healthcare. It'll take care of all the colds, flus, strep throats, ear infections, all the basic things that we just go to the doctor for on a day-to-day basis. Okay. The other thing that does have too, if you download the Healthiest You app, it's got a lot of healthcare transparency tools, so you'll be able to find where the cheapest drugs are. What a lot of people don't know or understand is that drugs are cheaper at different pharmacies, and they're even different prices from one Walgreens to another Walgreens. So this can help you find the cheapest generic cost drugs or even brand name drugs if for some reason you're not using your insurance there. So please utilize the app. Try to find the best way to get your care, the best way to get your drugs, the best places to get your testing done. It can do comparisons on where to get a CT scan for the cheapest cost. It's really got a lot of cool features in it. So if you have any questions on how this works or how to utilize it, give my office a call. But you should be getting some stuff in the mail regarding this so that if you haven't remembered that you have this, that you'll be able to download the app and start utilizing it. Questions on the Healthiest You product?
Hey, Garrett?
Yeah.
The PowerPoint's not coming through for anybody.
The PowerPoint's not coming through. They're not seeing it?
No.
Okay, let me try this. Are we seeing it now, guys?
There we go.
Okay, all right. Somehow the screen got shut off. I am so sorry there. Do we want to keep rolling? Do we want to start over and go over the slides we missed for anybody, or what would you like to do, Dan?
I just forwarded the PowerPoint to everybody.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
We're
Do you guys
good.
want them to go back over anything?
No.
Okay, so they all have a copy of the PowerPoint. I guess they can go over and take a look at what you presented to
Gotcha.
on.
Yeah, absolutely. My apologies on that. And guys, I've recorded this whole session, and so we'll make sure we get that copy to you as well. So if you need to go back through what we've already discussed, you can look at it while I'm talking about it on the slides. My apologies on that. Not sure how that happened. Thought I had it shared there, but it wasn't coming through apparently. Okay. All right. So in addition, guys, we are going to continue on with our flexible spending account. So if you're not taking advantage of it, this is a fantastic way to pay for your medical expenses or child care expenses in a pre-tax format. Okay, so you can take money out of your paycheck and put it into the flexible spending account to help pay for any qualified medical expenses or for dependent care expenses. Okay, so you can, for qualified medical expenses, you can put in up to $2,600 per year. And for dependent care, so if you got daycare or something like that, you can put in up to $5,000 per year. Now, if you're filing separately from your spouse, you can only put in $2,500. Okay, but if you're filing together, you can put in up to $5,000 a year. This money goes into the flexible spending account. It's there for you throughout the year to spend on any qualified medical expense and also your dependent care costs. Now, if you don't use this money by the end of the year, it will go away, and you're only allowed to roll over $500 per year. So it's important that, you know, you try to sit down and make some decisions about, okay, how much of this do we want to put into our account? How much are we actually going to spend? Because if you have too much left over, you're going to lose it. So we want to make sure that you make the appropriate adjustments and you put the right amount in to meet your needs throughout the year, because only $500 of it will roll over till next year. Okay, nothing's changing about this. You guys have this today, but we want to remind you that it's available to you. Any questions on this? Oh, okay. All right, so here are your payroll deductions. And guys, I know you didn't have the slide in front of you when we were going through this, and so my apologies on that, but the payroll deductions, you'll notice for the Local Plus, this is what I was talking about. You're going to get the deepest discounts and the richest benefits if you're on the Local Plus plan. This is per paycheck. You guys have 24 pay periods, so twice a month this will come out of your paycheck. If you wanted to buy up to the open access, you have that option. It is available to you there, but these are your per paycheck payroll deductions, and this is what will come out effective January 1st. Okay? Questions on the medical insurance or the Healthiest You or any of this stuff, the deductible reimbursement, before we move on to the dental? Okay. All right, so you guys, we're going to continue on our dental plan with MetLife. Like I mentioned, this plan actually renews on December 1st, so as of today, but we'll be making any changes retroactive back to today. So, you know, if you're on the plan now, it'll still work as if it was working before, but if you do make a change, they'll go back to December 1st, and then next year everything will be lined up on a January 1st effective date. Okay, but you do have an individual deductible of $75 and a family deductible of $225. So much like the $5,000 deductible per individual on the medical, and the $10,000 per family, just like that, you can only have 3 individual deductibles on the dental. So that's all that's saying. But each person in your family only has $75 deductible. Your preventative care, which is your 2 cleanings and your 1 x-ray, is covered at 100%, no cost to you. Your basic services like fillings, simple extractions, that'll all be covered at 80% after your $75 deductible. And then your major services like crowns, dentures, bridges will be covered at 50% after the $75 deductible. Now guys, you guys have a $5,000 per person max. This is absolutely a dynamite benefit. This is the largest maximum you can get in the entire country on a dental plan. So First Arizona Title is doing a really good job of providing you guys with very competitive benefits. This dental plan is outstanding. Okay, what that $5,000 means is that once MetLife's paid out $5,000, they're done. That's where the benefit ends. You'll continue to get any negotiated discounts that they've made, but the $5,000 is the maximum benefit that you'll receive in a given year. But $5,000 for dental care is a lot of money, so you guys are in a really good spot with this plan. This plan also has orthodontia coverage for your children. And the way it'll work is they'll pay 50% of the orthodontia coverage for children up to $1,000. So I know that's not going to cover the entire cost of braces at all, but it is a good benefit to have, and I'd rather have that than not have any services, which many dental plans these days don't even have orthodontia. So again, very rich dental plan. This is how it works today. Nothing's changing about how it works, but we do want to make sure we go over it. The last 2 things I will note is that there are no waiting periods on this plan. So if you enroll for the first time as of December 1st, you can start using the major and basic and orthodontia services right away. There are no waiting periods on them. And then if you go out of network, you could potentially be balance billed. And what that means is that when a insurance company goes around in medical, in dental, and vision, in any of these products, they go around to all the providers and they negotiate discounts in the network. So they might go to a dentist and they say, look, if you want to be in network with MetLife, you normally charge $150. We're going to ask that you take $100 as payment in full for a cleaning, right? And that dentist decides, yeah, I want to be in network, or no, I don't. If they decide, yes, they do, you go in for your cleaning, MetLife writes them a check for $100, and you don't get billed anything past that, okay? If that dentist says, no, I do not want to be in network, you go in for your cleaning, MetLife will still write them a check for $100 because you can see they cover 100% out of network, right? But then they'll turn around and bill you the other $50. And so that's called balance billing. That's how it works in medical. That's how it works in dental. However, on this plan, as long as what your dentist charges is 90% of usual and customary charges, meaning that 90% of the other dentists in their area are charging about the same thing, then even if that dentist is out of network, MetLife's going to go ahead and cover it like it's in network and will pay the full cost. So this is a extremely rich dental plan for you guys. It's a very generous structure in the benefits and how much it costs, and even the out-of-network benefits are very rich in the sense that it's going to be really hard for you guys to go see a dentist and not have the deepest discounts and the richest coverage. Okay, so this is how your dental plan works today. It's not changing, but we did want to review it and make sure you guys understood it. Here are the payroll deductions. You'll see this in Employee Navigator. You'll have this in all your enrollment information. Okay, but this is the cost per paycheck. Any questions on the dental plan? Oh, okay. All right, moving on to the vision plan. Again, your vision isn't changing either, but we do want to review it. So if you go in for an eye exam, you pay a $10 copay. Your materials and eyewear, which is your lenses and things like that, will be covered at a $25 copay. Pay that, you're on your way, the rest is covered. For your frames, you'll have a $130 allowance, and that's exactly what it sounds like. It's an allowance towards the cost of frames. If frames cost less than $130, you won't pay anything. If they cost more than $130, you'd pay the difference. So if it's $150 for the frames, you'd pay $20. If it's $200, you'd pay $70, so on and so forth. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, your lenses are all covered under that materials $25 copay. And then contact lenses as well have a $130 allowance just like the frames. You can get an exam once every year. You can get new lenses once every year. And then you can get frames once every 2 years. So once every 24 months. Now, if you decide to get frames, you cannot get contacts in that same month. In that same year. So it's either frames or contacts, but you can get your contact lenses every year, but you can only get frames every 2 years. Okay? And you can, of course, get them as often as you want. You just would have to pay the cost if they're not covered. Of course, if you go out of network, the benefits are reduced, but there are benefits there. It's very easy to file an out-of-network claim, and they'll go ahead and reimburse you up to those allowances there. But guys, this is the same plan you have today. Nothing's changing about it. We just want to review it with you. And here are your payroll deductions per paycheck. You can see it's very affordable. Are there any questions on the vision plan before we move on? Okay. Alrighty. In addition, guys, First Arizona Title Agency provides you guys with $50,000 of basic life and accidental death and dismemberment. This is really above and beyond what most employers are doing, even in white-collar industries such as yourselves. $50,000 is the maximum term life benefit that an employer can purchase on anybody. And you guys, by function of being eligible for your benefit plan, you are getting $50,000 of basic life and accidental death and dismemberment insurance. And so just like what it sounds like, what this means is if you were to pass away, whomever you designate as your beneficiary will get $50,000 in life insurance. And then if you were to pass away in an accident or become dismembered, that would double. They get $100,000. The company pays the full cost of this benefit. Please do not take it or do not underappreciate this benefit. Most employers are not offering anything like this. The average life insurance policy that's even purchased anymore from employers on their employees in Arizona is $15,000. First Arizona Title is going above and beyond on this life insurance benefit. You guys all get this, whether you enroll or not. It's a function of being eligible for the benefit plan. All we need you to do is when you log into Employee Navigator and you go through this process, please update your beneficiaries. We want to make sure, should the worst happen to you, we get this money to the right place. If we don't know who to get this money to, it will end up in probate and your family will fight over it, and that always gets ugly. So please let us know who to get this money to, and we'll make sure that that's on record so we can make that easy for your family should something happen to you. Okay? In addition, guys, if you want, you can purchase additional life insurance on top of the $1,000 that First Arizona Title Agency is providing to you. And so what this is a great way to get life insurance at a discounted amount because you're purchasing it as a group. So you can elect $25,000 increments up to 5 times your annual earnings or $50,000, $500,000, whichever is less, right? So whatever 5 times your annual earnings or $500,000, you'd be able to purchase as much as that or in $25,000 increments. If this is your first time having the opportunity to enroll in the life insurance, so you're brand new to the company, this is your first opportunity to enroll, you can actually get $100,000 of guaranteed issue, meaning you don't have to answer any health questions and they're going to give it to you. You want to buy $100,000, you will get it if this is your first time enrolling on the plan, okay? Any other amounts, or if this is not your first time, maybe you had the option to enroll in life insurance last year and you decided not to, you would have to answer medical questionnaires and get approved for the life insurance, but nonetheless, you do have this available to you. You can also purchase insurance for your spouse in increments of up to $5,000 to a maximum of $100,000, and you can't purchase more than 50% of what you purchase for yourself. So you can't just buy life insurance on your spouse. That's always a red flag, right? So we want to make sure that if you're buying $100,000, you can only buy $50,000 for your spouse. Again, though, if this is your first time purchasing life insurance or being able to purchase life insurance as a new employee, you do have $25,000 for your spouse. That is guaranteed issue. And then if you like, you can purchase $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, or $5,000 all the way up to $10,000 for your children of increment for life insurance for your kids. I know that can be kind of morbid on thinking about that, but nonetheless, if something were to happen, you'd have some money there to help your family out while you were grieving their passing. So I want to make sure you guys know this is available to you through MetLife. This is a great way to purchase additional life insurance, and especially if this is your first time enrolling, it's a fantastic way to get guaranteed issue coverage where you wouldn't have to answer any medical questions. Questions on how the life insurance or the voluntary life insurance works? No? Okay, we'll keep moving. All right, guys, in addition to the life insurance, First Arizona decided also to purchase for you guys disability insurance. This, in my opinion, is the most underrated benefit in America because people do not appreciate it until they actually need the disability insurance, but once they get it, it's absolutely a lifesaver. And the way it works is that we buy short-term and long-term disability. They work in conjunction with each other to ensure that if you're working for First Arizona Title Agency and something should happen that you become disabled and can no longer work, you're going to have some money to help you get through that time, pay bills, and you won't just be out of a job and out of funds to help pay your bills. Okay, that's what the purpose of this is. The way it works is on the short-term disability, after 15 consecutive days of being disabled due to a non-work-related sickness or accident, now it's non-work-related because work-related would be covered under workers' comp, but non-work-related sickness or accident, the short-term disability will cover an employee's income up to 60% of their salary for up to a max of $1,000 per week. So you can get 60% of your salary covered up to $1,000 per week, and that benefit will pay out for 11 weeks. Okay, now you'll notice when you add in the 15-day waiting period with the 11 weeks, that brings you to 13 weeks or otherwise 90 days. And then what happens is your long-term disability will kick in. After the 90 days has passed, the long-term disability will cover your salary at 60% up to a maximum of $6,000 per month. And that benefit will last until normal Social Security retirement age. So for a lot of folks, that's age 65 when you can file for Social Security. For others in a younger generation, it's 67, and as we move forward, that'll continue to probably tick up. But when you can retire for Social Security will start paying your disability. But until then, you'll have coverage through the First Arizona Title long-term and short-term disability plan. Now, there's one thing I want to point out. The short-term disability does work for maternity leave. So if you go out on maternity leave, you would have to wait the 15 days, but you can start claiming disability for another 4 weeks after that, okay? Now, if your doctor does declare you actually disabled for longer than that time frame due to complications, it can last the entire time. But typically for your standard maternity leave, they're going to give you 6 weeks, okay? Questions on how the disability plan works? Oh, okay, guys, I want you to please just appreciate the fact that they pay for this. They pay the entire cost. You all have this. This is a fantastic benefit to have. Most employers do not offer disability coverage anymore. So don't take this for don't take this for granted. This is wonderful coverage that you guys have. They're doing a really good job of providing for you guys. And guys, with that, that's the end of the presentation. I am sorry that we didn't get you weren't able to view the first part of it. I have recorded this for you, so we'll get that over to Dan so he can distribute that out. I know that you guys did get a copy of the presentation to have in front of you, but we do want to make sure we answer all your questions. So if there's enough folks who feel, hey, we need to do this again or have another webinar, I'd be happy to set that up. That's not a problem. But we do want to thank you for your time, and I do want to let you guys know that I do this work for hundreds and hundreds of corporate clients across the nation. Many of them are much larger than First Arizona Title Agency, and without a doubt, you guys have one of the richest benefit packages that we've put together that competes with a lot of very large corporations. Okay, First Arizona's a way of saying thanks for your loyalty and hard work. We want to make sure that A, you come to work happy and you have all the financial tools that you need to be successful and focus on both work but also your personal life and make sure you guys are taken care of. So thank you for your time. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Other than that, that's the end of the presentation. Ann, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, Garrett, I appreciate it. As you said, guys, if there's any questions, I'm going to be sending out a copy of the webinar. You go on to Employee Navigator, or you can reach out to FBC Direct and their team, or reach out to me, and let's just make sure that we get in there as soon as possible and select our benefits so that we're not up against the gun on the open enrollment.
That's absolutely right, guys. Remember, the portal will close on December 9th, but please do not wait until December 9th. We need you to go in and elect as soon as you can. The sooner the better. That'll get all the changes in because we want to make sure that come January 1st, if you're doing anything different, you're ready to rock and roll and all your benefits will work appropriately. The longer you wait, the less likely that that's going to happen. So we want to make sure that we get that taken care of for you. So the sooner you log in, the better.
Hold on, Garrett. There's one question I just got emailed. Let's see what this is. So the question that someone asked me, they said, I have a question about the FSA. If you do not sign up for it in 2017, does my $500 roll over still, or do I lose it if I don't use it by 12/31/16?
So the question was if they decided not to sign up in 2017 and unenroll from it, was that the question?
Correct. And they're
yes,
right.
Correct. If you do not continue with this and you unenroll from the FSA, your $500 will not roll over, and you do need to use it by the end of the year.
Okay. So then there's one more question about maternity leave. It says if we go out on maternity leave, we only get paid from the short-term disability plan for 4 weeks, is the question.
It's actually, yeah, the maternity leave, the standard maternity leave is 6 weeks. And so what will happen, because there's a 15-day waiting period before the disability will start paying out, right? You have to be disabled for 15 days. Then there's only 4 weeks of the benefit that will be paid out to you. So effectively the answer is yes, but I just want to be clear that, you know, the first 2 weeks of your maternity leave is just exhausting that initial waiting period.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all the questions I've been emailed.
Okay, great. All right, guys, again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact my office. We're open 8:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. You guys should all have the Employee Navigator portal. You can email us, call us. We're happy to help. That's what we're here for, and we'll make sure we get all of your guys' questions answered as we move forward. Okay?